Hello, and welcome to Card Creative Coaching. So, in one of my last posts, I spoke about happiness activities that you can use to create more joy in your life, and some of the ones that worked for me. And one of those was increasing flow experiences. If you don't know what a flow experience is, it's when you lose yourself in an activity. And I don't just mean when time flies because you're having fun. That's sort of it. But flow is sort of the next step beyond that. I think we've all experienced sort of losing a little bit of time, but I mean really losing yourself. Not only do you lose track of time, but the rest of the world just seems to fade away, except for what you're focused on. You don't notice that you're hungry or have to go to the bathroom or that your back aches because you've been sitting too long or whatever else. It's a place where nothing else matters except for what you're doing. That is being in flow. The flow state as a theory of being was envisioned by a psychologist whose name I'm not going to try and say, but I'll post it down below and you'll see why. But yeah, he's done a lot of research on flow and what this is and how to sort of achieve that state. So I just wanted to let you know sort of who the father of flow was. The way I think about flow is when you're fully drawn out of yourself and into whatever it is that you're doing. There's no doubts, there's no gremlins in your head, there's no fears. You're out of your head and you're in your body and you're absorbed fully in what you're doing. Doesn't that sound amazing? I think so. If you've ever wanted to know more about what it's like to fully be in the moment, flow will teach you that. There is no future, there is no past, there is just that in the immediate moment. And for us creative types, this can be a huge thing. It can really help us with our art. Not only is it intrinsically pleasurable and rewarding, but it can help us grow as artists. It helps us get out of our heads and into our art, and gives actually life a little bit more meaning. Makes us feel good and gets a lot of work done at the same time. So how do you get into flow? First, a disclaimer. As with many things, flow will not come as easy to some people as it does to others. Some of you may have to work at it a lot harder, and it may not seem worth it. And to be honest, it may not be worth it. If you're spending all of your time trying to find flow and not actually getting anything done, then maybe it's not something that is going to work as well for you. We're all different. Some of you may not be able to find flow so easily. That's okay. I'm going to be talking about many different ways that we can work on and improve our creativities, and this is just one of them. So what can you do to find flow? I'm going to do a quick overview here. There are lots of other resources out there you can look into for more information, and maybe I'll do another post about this in the future as well. We'll see. So to get into flow, it's really about two words: focus and attention. You need to focus your attention on one thing that you're doing, and just really be engrossed in that. A lot of people with ADD or ADHD, the way I've heard it described is that they just have far too much going on. They've got all these ideas and thoughts, and that can be wonderful to experience, and yet also overwhelming and hard to pick one out and focus on. And yet, I believe that for most of us, if you find the right activity, then focus can be achieved. Problem is that the right activity is not always what society thinks we should be doing. So once you've focused your attention, and it makes it easier to focus your attention when you're focused on skills that you're good at, things where you have expertise. So focus your attention and skills and expertise. Find something you know you'll like doing, that you're good at, that's a match for these skills. If you find that, again, you're going to get closer and closer to finding that flow experience. And find the right level of challenge. It can't be too challenging or you'll probably get knocked out. You'll be in your head. You'll be trying to think about it too much. And if it's too little of a challenge, you might actually get bored. So you want to find that sweet spot right in the middle where it's just the right level of challenge. Although if it's something that you really like doing, then you could potentially err a little bit on the side of less challenging, because you're less likely to get bored if it's something you really love. So focus your attention on a skill that you are experienced with and at that right level of challenge, and that is the ideal state for finding flow. But a few other things to help. Do it at the right time. We all have different times of day when we're most productive. So if that's morning or afternoon or evening or the middle of the night, do what works for you. For me, it's mid-morning, mid to late morning. That's when I'm most productive. That's when I'm most likely to get into flow. Also, minimize distractions. We all have distractions around us. The cat comes into the office, or the person talking in the cubicle next to you, whatever it is. If you can minimize a lot of those things, those external distractions, that will help. Then we have internal distractions, things like thoughts in our head. And this is, again, where a lot of the people with like ADD have all of these thoughts. They're distracted by things all the time. And the sad part is that really the way we get rid of those distractions is by being in flow. It's sort of a catch-22. But if you want other ways to minimize your internal distractions, you can try things like meditation and see if that works for you. If you really want to learn flow from a master, watch children. Children get into flow naturally. They do it when they're learning, when they're playing, when they're fully absorbed in what they're doing, right? If you ever just watch, it's that look on their face, right? When the tongue is slightly sticking out and their eyes are wide and they're sort of looking at their hand going, oh, I can pick up this now, and this, this piece of puzzle goes here. As they learn, they are in this super flow state, and that's how they learn. So if you want to, again, learn from a master, mimic what children are doing. So try and get that level of focus. And on that note, play more. Children learn by playing. And we forget this as we grow up. We start to think of play as meaningless fun. And it's not. Play is serious. It can be engrossing. It can teach us. If you really want to see someone who's playing in flow at the same time, take a look at a serious gamer, right? And you'll know that they're in flow. They are locked on what they're doing. And whether it's sports or puzzles or whatever you need to play, if you just want to experience what flow is like, that's most likely when you're going to find it. Again, this sort of goes back to what I was saying earlier about that focus element is not always on things that society thinks are the most important. And lastly, listen to music. Won't work for everybody, but if music helps you concentrate, use that. It does work for me, and one of the interesting things I find is I'll be listening to music, I'll have my headphones on, blasting in my ears, and yet when I get into flow, I don't hear a thing. It's gone. And I'll sort of pop back out later on and be like, oh yeah, I like this song. How many songs have passed? So those are some tips on how to get into flow. Before I go, though, a warning. Flow can produce a lot of good feelings and in some ways can be like a bit of a drug. It is something that you can get addicted to, so something to watch out for. I am mildly addicted to writing, and I'm slightly joking when I say that and slightly not. I really like it, and sometimes I do need to force myself to stop and focus on other things in my life. So if you're focused too much on your flow activity, it may be time to stop and take a step back and focus on something else for a while. Don't lose yourself entirely in anything that you do. Know how to get lost for a period of time, then return to your everyday life. That's when you've mastered flow. So I hope you were able to find some flow and that it helps you be more creative. And until we speak again, I hope you can dream big, laugh lots, and create. Thanks. Bye-bye.